This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
So I'll call to order the January 18th Public Safety Building Committee meeting. And we'll start with open time for the public. Seeing none, we'll review the December 27th minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Or should we take a few minutes?
Take a minute. I haven't totally read them again recently. Good to me. Speed reading.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the next is the update on Zero College Highway.
So you have our new map, or old map?
Yes. I believe that the chairs had sent that along to HKT for their information also.
So is the, so we have this from the Labries. Is there is there anything else that has been taken place between the Labries and Select Board or Ed?
Not at this point.
Yeah, it looks like the parcel, just if I can read this fine print here, the parcel we were talking about on the south side, I guess it's still not totally clear if that's one parcel or two parcels, right? There's five, oh no, there's four parcels altogether?
Yeah, so there's two parcels on the right side.
Right, so there's 1 and 2, and number 1 is the parcel that is being considered, and Chief Illingsworth clarified that with Amy from HKT.
Okay.
She was thinking it was both.
And it's actually the smallest lot of the four, according to this, just by a bit, 48,000 square feet.
I think it's 170 feet across.
I don't know about across, I'm just looking at what it says on the map here. They can list each parcel with the square footage.
I think that's interesting because what it means is there's 2 more parcels before you get to the next street that they're proposing.
Yes,
So
2 and 3.
that means that our driveways will be quite a distance away
Well,
from.
No, there's only 2. There's only one parcel.
If I'm reading it right, Chris, may I?
That's parcel 1 right here. I don't know what this is down here.
That's the old Strawberry Manor.
Okay, so parcel 1, and that's
Right, and then,
2, and then
right,
3 and 4 is over there.
right, so there's another parcel between us and the road. It's not two,
Just one.
But even that one puts us at least another 100 feet away from,
Yeah, there's about 300 feet of frontage from the road, so half, there's about 150 feet between you.
so that may be accommodating enough for have a driveway for the apparatus and a driveway for the general public.
There's 150 feet of, 150 feet of frontage.
Glad you could come.
No, I was just noting the square footage of the parcel, so that's all. The biggest parcel looks like it's the two on the other side of the proposed roadway. 3 and 4, 60,000, 61,000-ish square feet, so. So in other words, we're taking a commercial parcel, but we're taking the smallest one of the bunch to be maybe re-accommodated for a direct access into the future complex. The reason, Barry, just to catch up, is right now, all this planning on whatever's happening with the rest of the land and the proposed roadway here, which is this thing, all of that hasn't gotten through planning board yet and zoning board and whatever else has to happen.
Can I ask a stupid question? Why the complex is set behind these other lots instead of having frontage itself?
Well, because you've got the commercial lots right on the highway, right? So all the, right now, but they're offering for the donation is behind those commercial lots.
So to be clear, the Labries have offered the 4.2 acre plot behind in donation, although there's nothing yet contractually agreed upon. And because it's a landlocked parcel and the planning board and the plans have not been approved, the idea on purchasing a commercial parcel would give us some road frontage. It's the only thing that will make that donated parcel viable within the time frame we need. Okay. So the plan, the hope is to potentially purchase that single commercial lot, which will give us access to the landlocked donated parcel.
Yeah, I see.
That makes us somewhat independent too, not having to wait on whatever happens and whatever time frame that happens with the rest of the parcel and that roadway.
I see.
Because right now that roadway is the only access into the whole ball of wax there. Okay.
And as yet unapproved.
So this gives us at least the possibility to kind of move on our own time schedule rather than having to wait on however long that may take to get the other parts of it together.
Time is of the essence.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Well, we need to be acting independently of the approval of that entire development.
Yeah, we don't want to get locked into the other development. The other side of it, Barry, is it's 170-foot frontage. So part of this complex could pull into that commercial lot.
I see.
Okay, depending on how the architects project this out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it has to be on that 4-acre donation because we're going to own that other parcel.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
Or at least allow some of it to move a little bit closer to Route 10. I mean, that was one of our concerns, was visibility, from Route 10.
Yeah.
So, given that we have yet to have any written offer for the potentially donated parcel, we don't have time to go into this today, but what I'm going to ask is that for the next meeting, I want everybody to weigh in on how long you're willing to move forward before we have some contractual agreement to know what the offer is. And additionally, how much town money are you willing to risk? That goes along with how far we're going to proceed without something in writing. So, as I say, we've only got a few minutes now before HKT joins us, so we won't go into it, but I want everyone to weigh in on what we're willing to how far we're willing to proceed without something in writing.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
Ed, when you spoke to Louise pertaining to this, did you bring up having some kind of a draft for sale understanding?
Not at this point in time. Wanted this first.
All right.
Move forward.
Is there anything that prohibits you now from reaching out and seeing what the written proposal would look like?
No.
Then why don't we just simply move forward with that?
Well, we voted on it, but it's not moving, so I want everybody to weigh in because we need to know whether, just how far? What are we going to risk here? This is a one-time opportunity with the ARPA funds. We're not going to have this bundle of money again, and we don't have anything yet as far as a contractual agreement. So, as you said, Charlie, last time we had already voted on it to request a written proposal. We need that to take place.
Right, and my understanding is Ed wanted to get the map first.
And we've had that for 2 weeks, yes.
And now maybe Ed needs to circle back to them and ask for a document. We've already voted on it.
And that was in a note that I wrote when we got the map. So,
I agree with you, we don't want to just sit out here and do nothing. But if we've already voted to ask this to take place and we now have the map, I know Ed works for the select board, doesn't work for us, but that would be the next logical step.
I don't see any reason why we can't get something before the next meeting.
thank you. But I still, if we don't, I still want people to weigh in to know where we're at in that regard.
We've paid HKT, what, maybe twice now, something?
Yes.
Yeah, if we don't get anything back by the next, I don't mean next week, but the next usual meeting we have, then I'd be a little concerned.
All right, so that is one task.
Is it possible to set the next meeting date even out of order because of, we're saying there's no reason why we can't get something until the next meeting? So we need a meeting pretty soon.
Well, we have a meeting next week, so how about the week after? Would that be too early, Ed, for you to?
What's that?
Would the week of the 30th be too early for you to get a response back from the property owners?
I can try.
When did you say, Charlie?
The week of the 29th?
What is the Monday, Charlie?
29th.
29th? Are people free on January 29th?
That's a Monday.
Should be.
At 4:30. Okay, we'll move on to the video update. Chief, you've completed what you're going to do? Were you reviewed the film?
We have
footage?
not. I reached out to Jeff with East Hampton Media, and they are still doing their editing.
Okay.
He did have one question for us about, are we still going to have somebody from the public do a interview?
Yes. So I'll give you my update. I did reach out to David Madsen, and in an email he responded, "I would like to help and know full well the need for a public safety complex. But unfortunately, with my continued ties to the TV station, I really can't. Whether it's in my hometown or regarding issues in general, I really cannot take a public stand. Thank you for asking. Good luck with the project." So that makes perfect sense. So given that,
I have two names.
And I- Well, okay. I have a name too that's been
Well,
recommended.
there's a man in town who used to be a radio broadcaster years ago. His name is Jim Palermo. I don't know if anybody knows him. And he, in his career, has been a radio broadcaster. He has a radio voice, and he also reads for, is it called iRadio for the blind? He regularly uses that, and he agreed, if we agreed, that he would do it. That's one option. Also, Johanna Douglas, who is our library director, also has a career in voice and acting and all that, and that's a different voice. But those are two options. It's all pending whatever the committee decides. Those are just ideas.
And then Denise Riggs has been recommended. And the email I got about that, let's see. She's willing to speak as one of the the spokespersons for the project. So she's willing to join the team to educate the public. So she's a photographer and artist who has been involved in projects in East Hampton City Space Project, which will offer a new cultural and entertainment venue to local residents. So Denise is articulate, sincere, and would be a believable advocate for the public safety building project. So those are three names. She's also willing to do it. We've got 5 minutes now. How do you think we should proceed on this? Should we contact each of them and ask them to come to a meeting and go over what needs to be covered in the film?
I don't know that we need to.
Okay, I don't know either, so.
First of all, I think I'll say what's on my mind, which is I think, given that we're going to have the bulk of the wording and the narrative by the two chiefs, it would be nice to have a gender balance, so to have a woman would be my preference. I think anybody we have, we'd want to have a script. I don't think, we'd want them to have something that they can work from, but they might want to have input in that script so that they feel like they own it and it's their language, not some sterile,
Some talking points.
Yeah, some talking points or something that, somebody could then, maybe draft up some points from and feel like it's their voice coming through, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So how we do that, I'm not sure. I've heard of Denise, I don't know her personally.
I don't either. I don't know really. Well, I know of Jim and I know who
Let's rule out Jim because we suggested a different gender. Yeah, I think it's good.
We only have just one.
Yeah, you could have more than one.
Okay, we could have Jim plus a woman, and I know Denise not well. I've met her several times. Her voice sounds wonderful, as does Johanna's. So I think it's a case of who's available. I actually don't think it should be a whole committee discussion. I think that's a lot of time. And I think maybe a subset of us could perhaps meet and move this forward a little bit, because there's just seems to be like so many stuff on our committee agendas.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm happy to help.
But I wonder if they should visit the stations.
Yeah.
Whoever does it should visit the stations to actually see what our conditions are and be able to make a personal.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about if we try to invite Denise to our next meeting and just have her sit in and hear what we're doing a little bit, or?
Sure.
I don't know.
Why don't we do Denise and Jim Palermo? And Johanna's got a lot going on. She's the library director. She was willing to do this, but it doesn't have to be her. Denise is another volunteer.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm not sure if those are the only names, or we want to keep thinking.
Yes, by the way, yes, does anyone else have a name to offer? But
I mean, we were talking about trying to get somebody from the school side at one point in time, so we can get the younger crowd of town involved, and I don't know if anybody's got connections through the PTO or anybody.
I spoke to a woman named Jessica Huffnagel, who has got kids in the school system. She's chairperson of the library trustees. I didn't ask her if she had a background in voice of any kind, but I think she speaks clearly, and she's got a profession that puts her on Zoom a lot, so she speaks, what can I say, and I think she speaks fine. There's a name right there as an option.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have to have a broadcaster type. I mean, we started that way, but I don't think we have to have.
We don't have to.
We need a regular person in town that's going to be believable, as far as I'm concerned. So, that's all.
We could ask them to come to the next meeting.
And just briefly, we could put it first on the agenda, go over a little bit what we are hoping for, and then possibly make a plan for them to visit you and Chief Illingsworth.
And then through that discussion, more individual discussion maybe with the two chiefs, then people could feel like, they understood the problem well enough to put forth some points that would be comfortable for them to talk about, maybe.
Okay, so I will contact Denise Riggs. I was given her contact info, and you will contact Jim.
And Jim, and do you want me to go for this younger person named Jessica?
How many, what's the feeling about numbers?
Well, if we don't use them at this point, we may do more than one.
I was thinking too, we may want to add or change around as time goes along.
It might not be bad to have 2 or 3, just to have a pool of people, and then we could draw from them over the next 6 months or something. I mean, I'd say throw in Jessica too. If you can.
Do you want me to recontact Johanna Douglas at the library?
I don't personally think so. I mean, I think she's busy.
She is busy, you're right.
I think
We could do that at a later date too,
Very
Cindy.
Yep.
What's Jim's last name?
Palermo, Palermo.
Oh, I know him.
And you'll contact Jessica, Cindy?
Yep, and see if she's available.
Yeah, we've got maybe a cross-demographic.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be good to have someone from I don't know what generation Denise is of, but Jim is ours.
I think Denise is probably a little bit younger than I am. Denise and Bob Riggs live on Pleasant Street, and I think so. So that makes her, well, I'm only 35, so that makes her 30.
There you go.
Yeah. No, she's probably in her 50s.
Well, to have someone with school-age children, I think would be also beneficial to us. Okay, hello, hello Janet and Amy, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, good.
And Amy will be on. I just was texting with her, so I'll tell her that she was, I think, waiting till 4:30, so let me tell her. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
How y'all been?
Pretty well, how about you?
Good. Did you have a nice holiday season?
Very good. So,
Good, good. Okay, there she is. Hello.
Hi, Amy.
How are you all?
Great, thanks.
Great. Are you, should we launch it?
Yes, please. Welcome back. So you have received the updated map, and it's been clarified to you, the commercial parcel that the town is interested in purchasing. So I guess it is, if you have something, if you can launch right into whatever you have to offer, please do.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Okay. Okay. So what we were going to show you today is that we've done a couple of conceptual plans at Zero College Highway, and then we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the schedule and the next steps. As you said, Christina, last time we met, we showed you some test fit options, both on Zero College Highway and on the existing site. And when we were looking at Zero College Highway before, we did one option, which was just on the 4-acre parcel that the developer intended to donate to the town. And that is, let me get my pointer out here. It was this purple parcel right here, and this was the scheme that we showed you on that. And then we showed you another scheme where we incorporated that purple parcel as well as this green and this orange parcel, which is another 2.27 acres, and that was test bed option 2 on the Zero College Highway site that we showed you. And we understand now that you're looking at the purple parcel and then this green parcel, and you would not acquire the orange parcel here. So that's what we've been looking at for these two schemes that we're going to show you today. We still think, even with only acquiring half of this piece of land up here, the lot still is plenty big to support all of your programming needs. Acquiring the green lot still gives you the direct access to College Highway, so there's less concern about when the developer might possibly build this road and what it might mean for access into the site from that direction. And then having this lot also gives you the potential to get the fire apparatus directly out onto College Highway rather than having to go out this secondary road and out to College Highway, and potentially have separate access for fire and for public if it's allowed by Mass DOT. So all good possibilities, we think. So this one we're calling option 3, since we already showed you a couple of options on this site. And this scheme is a 1-story public safety building. When we approached this initially and we looked at the site constraints, we went and put the setbacks on and realized that what's left, the buildable space in this additional lot up here, is really too narrow to get any of the building up there and still allow for drive-through apparatus bays. So we decided to use it as access drives and set the building back onto the parcel that was originally proposed by the developer. In this scheme, we are showing 2 separate drives. The little red arrows show where fire apparatus could come and go. So the fire apparatus bays would be set here, and that's sort of how we organized the site. We looked first about how to get the fire apparatus out, because that is much more constraining than police movement across the site. So we put the fire apparatus in a central location with easy direct access in and out this drive, and then a secondary drive for public and for police to come and go. We have parking spaces for the fire department over here, 20 spaces over here, public parking spaces, 22 spaces here, police parking spaces, 41 spaces. So we are able to accommodate what we intended and what we programmed. And by splitting up those parking areas, we have opportunities to gate them off. So there could be a gate here to keep the public from getting into police spaces. There could be another gate over here to keep the public from coming to the back of the building where you would have the drive-through apparatus bays. And the sally port, these blue arrows indicate where the sally port is, and the police impound garage. The sally port would be a drive-through sally port. And then we also have a space for carport, for shielding some of the police department cars, carport for shielding some fire department vehicles, and room to have a separate standalone firing range. Those provide, by lining them up along the property line over here, they provide a bit of a shield for the neighbors, and this lot over here. And then there's a lot of green space all around the site that would allow for nice planting buffers for the neighbors as well. And eventually, when the developer does build this road, there could be a secondary access point in and out of the the site off of that road there. There. So these are the floor plans. This is the, for option 3, the one-story scheme for the floor plan.
Minimize the pictures.
There is a center entrance here that allows access to the various shared programmatic spaces. There's a shared administrator, a public interview room, public toilets, the training room here. And then again, the fire apparatus is located with easy access to get out that drive. Off of the fire apparatus, we've created organization of spaces that allows for separation of these hot and cold zones to aid in the decontamination process. When the firefighters come back from a fire, they can get into a laundry room here. I'm just going to blow up this plan so you can see it a little bit better.
And your images are obscuring some of the drawing. Whose project is it to?
Oh, yeah, we're kind of in the way there. If you just make a different view on the picture of us, of them. You could make it like a gallery view.
I'll get it for
You want to do it and minimize
Make a gallery view or something different.
the views of the faces?
I know I have to keep moving the images around too so that I can see different things. They're never in exactly the right space, are they?
Ed has gotten us straightened away, so now we can see the full plan. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Okay. Now I'm just going to move you again so that I can get my pointer back here. I just moved you over my point. Whoops, I guess I can't do both
I
at the
think
same
you can
time.
only do one at a time.
Okay, all right, I'll use the little hand cursor, hopefully you can see that. So firefighters would come into the apparatus bays here. They could get into the laundry room to clean their clothes. There are toilet and shower rooms right here so that they could shower and get any contaminants off their bodies. In the decontamination room, they can do gross decontamination of equipment. And then there's gear storage here. And they can do all of that to clean their bodies and their gear before they come out into the rest of the station, either to go into the living quarters, which are down here and sort of to the back of the station where it's a little bit quieter. We've got the bunk rooms, the kitchen and day room, and then toilet, showers, and laundry in this area. Or if they were going to go into the fire department administration spaces where we have the chief, the deputy, conference rooms, fire prevention, EMS, and fire captain, all in this area. The police department's administration spaces are all located over here along the east side of the building. We've got the conference room, the police chief, police lieutenant, detectives. And then the operations are here back towards the back of the building where we've got the lunchroom, the evidence room, operations room, armory, processing labs, and locker rooms. And then the detention in the very back of the building where it's a little bit more private. So the cruisers could come into the Sallyport area. They could bring detainees into the anteroom and the booking right here, and then directly into the cells or into the interview room. And that can all be done away from the public access and public view. And then over on this side of the building, I should also say, we've got some of the support spaces for the apparatus, and you see the only stair in the building, which is located right here, and that would get you up to a mezzanine space that would be over this bar and could provide additional storage space for the fire department. Does anyone have any questions about this before I go on to the next option?
Is there a fitness area? Did I miss that?
Yes, the fitness. Let me zoom in again here.
Also, the public entrance, is that monitored?
The public entrance would be monitored by the administrator here, or there could also be a video phone we talked about with the departments at one point for times when it's not monitored. Someone could come in, you might have the lockdown at the lobby here, and someone could come into the vestibule and ring a bell and talk by video phone to someone in the rest of the station. The fitness room is located right here.
Yeah, thanks.
And there we're missing a door. Another door. Yeah. Another door here, so there would be access from the fire department side and from the police department side.
And this is a footprint of over 27,000 feet?
No, I'm getting, someone's doing the exact square footage, but I think this one-story plan is about 23 or 24,000 square feet, so it's significant. We had started, remember, at 29,900 square feet.
Right.
We dropped it to 27,900 square feet, cut up thousands, a couple thousand out of that. I think this plan, I had done a preliminary number, and I'm asking someone right now to confirm it. I think we're down at 23 or 24,000, so we do lose a bit of space with no stairs, no elevators, the implications of spaces. It's a pretty compact plan, so not tons of corridors, extreme, circular, spaces. So it is a bit more efficient, but I don't want to say that number. I'm gonna while Amy starts the next one, I'm gonna run and make sure I get that number right for you. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Could you remind us how big the community training room was? How many people that might hold?
Janet's the one who's got the program right in front of her, of course, as she just walked away.
Yeah.
In this scheme, it's just under 1,200 square feet. I want to say we were planning for around 50 people. That would probably be around 50 people, but let her confirm when she comes back.
Okay.
I've got a question on that design.
Here she comes. Janet, was the program for the training room for 50 people? Was that correct?
I'd have to get my program out. Hold on for a sec. Let's see. Training was for 40 people. Yeah. Okay. I do have the numbers. So the single story was 24,000, I was close, 422, and then a 622 square foot mezzanine. So that mezzanine that Amy was talking about. So I thought it was 23 to 24, it was 24,400. And then, so if you add in the mezzanine, which you do have to build, it's a pretty cheap space to build, it's 25,084. So again, still from where we started at 29,968 down to 25, it's 4,000, almost 5,000 square feet smaller. But I'm going to do the number that we had dropped it to because that's the more reflective. It's minus 2820, so that's what we pick up square footage, which is not insignificant.
Correct.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Ed had a question.
Got a question on the design. In addition to the video phone, which would be required, does this design account for or allow for someone that is coming in and there's no administrator there and they're fearful for their safety and allows for a room that they can access and lock themselves in case someone's chasing them?
Yeah, most of the time for stations, they have a panic button in the vestibule. So when someone gets in there, they can push the panic button and the doors can lock down. If the station is open and the secondary doors are open, a lot of times people will, they'll usher those people into like the public interview room here where there are two doors so they can get them in there and get them out the back door within a secured area. So there are different options for it. We can talk a little bit more about operations and how that would be accomplished. But I think either
it's all in door control at that point, and even
Right.
One other option is if there's a panic situation, both the vestibule doors lock, and it's a trap, which is not great, but it is a trap, and until somebody would come. So if there's 0 people in the station, we couldn't even get to that public interview room, there's a way of locking all that down.
Okay, great.
Control.
Thank you.
So,
And as Janet said, it's all about door control, and other doors can be added if it's decided that you want to let people in a little bit further even, and you want to let them into a lobby space, then another door can be added at some point to get that lockdown to happen in a different area. But it's amazing what we can do with electronic door control these days. Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I will move on to the next option if no one has any further questions. So this is the two-story option on the site. It's very similar from a site organization perspective, but you see a lot more green space on the site because it is two-story. When we were planning it again, where the fire apparatus was going to be located really dictated the layout of the building. Getting that to have the easy access out to College Highway and to have the drive-through bays really dictated where that was going to be placed on the site, and then how the building evolved around that. Again, we have the two entries for fire and then for public and for police here. There are the three zones for parking, but the parking is a little bit different here. The public parking is still located in the northeast corner here with access right into the entry here. The fire, we start to wrap around the building a little bit. That means that it's closer to the building. Excuse me, it's a little bit quicker for the firefighters to get into the building, but it also allows for this really nice green space that acts as a buffer to the neighborhood in this direction over here. Similarly, the police, we were able to stretch that out a little bit and wrap it around the building in this direction over here and put another small tray of parking back here. And that allowed us to get some additional green spaces off of the parking area to create a little more of a green buffer to the future neighbors across the street in the development over here. The carport, the police department, and the firing range are still located along this south side of the site, but they're pulled a little bit more away from the property line, and that allows for some more planting and some more screening to the neighborhoods on the south. And all this is just possible because it's a smaller footprint on the ground floor here because of the two-story scheme. And then I should say there's also a carport for the fire department in this scheme
I
as well.
I do want to note about the square footage. The carport and the shooting range are not included in the square foot of the building, just so you know. They're not heated, they're not tempered spaces, Well, the range comes as a box, and
that is heated and tempered, yeah. but it's got its own system that comes as a prepackaged.
If you buy it as a complete package. So I just wanted to mention that, and I will have the square footage of this one in a few minutes. He's completing that one right now. So, yeah. Okay.
And again, we have the Sally Port located in a little bit more public area, so it's a little bit shielded from the public view here. And this is the first floor plan of the two-story scheme. It's very similar in a lot of ways to what you just saw. With the difference is that all those administrative spaces for the police and fire department are now moved up to the second floor. But the center entrance is still here. There's still a direct connection to this shared admin person, and still easy access to the training room. I'm realizing we're missing another door here. We missed a few doors here and there. But the training room would have access off of the center lobby and circulation space, as well as public toilets here. And then the apparatus bays still have access to that decontamination zone that the firefighters can go through before they leave and get into the living quarters, which are on the first floor here. There are the bunk rooms and the day room and kitchen here, and there are toilets and shower rooms and lockers are all located here. And then the fitness room is located right here, and that's got access off this corridor that's for the fire department, as well as access from a corridor that's off of the police department spaces here. There are some police department operation spaces on the first floor, interview rooms, records rooms, the labs, the evidence rooms, sergeant's rooms, operations. Those spaces are all located on the first floor here, as well as the detention. So again, it's very similar to what we just saw with the Sally Port. Is a drive-through Sally Port. Detainees are brought into the booking room here and then into the cells. Or into the interview room, and there's a connection to the rest of the police operation spaces from the booking room right here. And then there's an elevator off the lobby, as well as one stair off the lobby and a second stair here, and those all go up to the second floor, which is a small second floor compared to the building. This gray over here is all roof, and then this is the only second floor. Anyone coming up this elevator or this stair would be in a very controlled environment. There's a small corridor space here with doors off of that lead either into the fire department administrative spaces, where the fire chief, the deputy chief, the conference room, and some of the other offices are located, as well as their private toilets and storage spaces. And then here, there's a door into the police department administrative spaces, conference room, police chief, captain, lieutenant, sergeant, detectives, and interview rooms, and then the locker rooms and the lunchroom for the police department as well. And then we do have some mechanical space up here on the second floor as well.
And that square footage, including the mezzanine, is 28,634. So you see the difference in the two.
And what causes that increase in square footage?
Say that again?
What causes that 3,000?
It's these stairs and the elevators, additional corridor spaces, it just takes up, you're repeating things. So, and we had those stairs and elevators and all that are part of our program spaces. So it's not like we didn't think about that. They're always in there. It's just that when you go to a one-story building, you don't have to put all that stuff in. So it makes a difference.
So indeed.
Yeah, when you figure the square footage of the stairs on 2 levels, so the square footage of this on 2 levels and this on 2 levels, the elevator on 2 levels, we have an elevator machine room, and then just the additional corridors to connect those pieces, it really starts to add up. And it's quite a savings to not have to build all of those. But it's a trade-off in the site. That's the point that we wanted to make. It's, you save the square footage, but if you look at the amount of green space in this site versus the green space in the others, there is a difference. And things could be organized a little bit differently here. We could wrap this is the one-story scheme, we could wrap the fire department parking around the side of the building as we did in the one-story scheme, in the two-story scheme, and get a little bit more buffer here. We probably would not be able to get the buffer along this property line. When you look at the depth of the building in the one-story scheme, it really starts to fill up the site there. And then compare that to the two-story scheme, there's just less square footage on this floor, and that allows you to have a little bit more gracious buffer for the site.
Is there any consideration for the basement?
And here,
is there any consideration for a basement? We didn't look at a basement. One of the challenges of a basement is, again, stairs and elevators. You're adding, if you're doing that plus a second floor, then you're adding square footage to have another run of stairs and another elevator stop. In lieu of a second floor, you could look at it, but, a lot of these spaces, what's on the first floor wants to be on the first floor. It wants to have,
plan,
it wants to, let's go to the first floor, this one, yeah. These fire spaces here want to be on the first floor. Obviously, the apparatus bays and all the support spaces, the laundry, decon, toilet, all that needs to be direct access off the apparatus bays. The bunk rooms need access to light and views. They need to have windows in them, so those don't really work on a lower level. And ideally, they're on the same floor as the apparatus bay for quick response time, as well as the day room. So all of that really wants to be on the first floor. And similarly, for the police department, the sally port and the garage have to be on the first floor, and the detention areas. I think, the police chief Illingsworth would tell you, and I think any police chief would tell you, that when you start to put detainees on a different floor level and they have to go upstairs, it's prone to accidents, people tripping, people getting hurt, whether it's the detainees or the police officers, and that can be a challenge to operations. And then, it's ideal if you can have the police officers parking, coming in a door, getting to the evidence room, drop off their evidence. That's another thing that can be on another floor, but it's ideal to have it on the first floor for chain of custody reasons. Allowing people to come in, quickly get into the evidence, drop off, or not into the evidence, but drop off their evidence, rather than having to go upstairs, and elevators that are not necessarily monitored when they're carrying evidence is not ideal.
We did look at putting the training room on the second floor, the public space, but we thought if you're going to use the space as a community space, as a meeting space, the less you don't really want people going up and down. Although we have done it in multiple public safety facilities and police stations, we put that on. But again, once you go upstairs now, it's bigger stairs, an elevator, and now you have to get the two stairs closer to each other, because now you need two forms of egress out of that second floor that are clear and obvious, not one that's within the walls of the police department or whatever. So it adds, even more square footage, or sometimes a third stair. So we kind of looked at that and said, we can do it if that's really important to you, but we didn't see that should be a driver on this particular plan. So.
Charlie, did you have a further comment on your basement question?
Yes. The first floor design indicates that they're having a second floor storage area over by the fire station. Why can't we use the storage area in the basement for that?
For which storage?
I'm having a hard time here.
It's okay. You're talking about the mezzanine area?
Yes, that one-story plan, the mezzanine area, you have one staircase to go up to store stuff. You have a piece of property that's being proposed that you could put a basement in the area in there and just use the basement and not spend the money on building a second floor there.
I think it would actually be more expensive to build a basement for that. It's a very small area. Janet, what did you say the
I think it's about 620 or so square feet.
Yeah, you're already building height for the apparatus bays. This is close to a two-story space because of the height of the trucks and the clearances that you need on top of the trucks in order to access parts of them and maintain them and all. And so once you're building that height, what we typically do is put these storage spaces over here, and then you can build a slab at, say, 12 feet above the apparatus bay floor level, and that 12-foot high slab becomes your mezzanine space, and there's still clearance from there to the underside of structure for the apparatus bay in order to do those storage. So that's actually a pretty inexpensive way to build additional storage, whereas if you were to build down into the basement, you're talking about additional excavation costs, additional foundation walls. It's a more costly endeavor than just taking advantage of this mezzanine space.
A lot of fire departments use that stair there as a training, pulling hose. We oftentimes put various window configurations in the walls so that they can learn how to do things. So we've often planned that mezzanine to have some holes in the floors and the roofs so they can do tripod training, and there's all kinds of different things that we can build into that. So there's not, if you do, again, what Amy said, if you do go to a basement, there's so much of this floor plan that can't go into the basement. You're left with very little program. And I don't think you'd be able to get rid of like the entire second floor, for instance, and go completely basement. It would be harder to find program that didn't need windows, didn't need light, didn't need easy access for equipment. Some of this equipment, bulk storage and things like that, and SCBA and all that, the spaces that are over in some of those areas is not stuff that you'd want to get to the basement. The scuba equipment, that's a big piece of equipment. It's not just tank storage. It's actually a piece of equipment potentially. So air compressors and things like that. So, and then all the ones on the right side, the gear storage have to be really on the apparatus floor, off the apparatus floor. So
the other thing I'm sorry, just one last thought on the mezzanine. The other thing that's really useful about the mezzanine is training. Again, Janet talked about training off the stair, but training can happen off the mezzanine level as well. Oftentimes, we put a gate, like a railing along this wall here, and then a gate, and they can practice rappelling off of the mezzanine, or practice bringing up those, I forget what they're called, but like the baskets that they put bodies in as they're trying to rescue people and all. They can do all kinds of training off the mezzanine, so that's a useful way to use that space as well.
We've even built a wall in one station that had some openings for training off the mezzanine. So there's a lot of things to do that we haven't even really significantly talked about with you folks yet. But I think we talked when we did programming, but you don't know how it's going to be accommodated in the plan you pick.
So my question was going to be, or to confirm that both of these options would be buildings that are built on slab. No.
Yes, there would be no basement. They're slab on grade.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate the question. On the two-story one that you've got here, you've got the bunk rooms, I guess, right up facing College Highway, whereas on the one-story one, you had them on the back of the building, I think. What was the rationale for not having them where they were on the one-story?
Okay, can you go to the one-story, Amy?
Yeah.
Yes, so in the one story, obviously, we're putting everything on that floor, so it's a rationale where pieces would be, and it seemed to us that, that the fire department, because they potentially stay there and they grill, or they, who knows what's going to happen, that on the south side, we, afford them a bit more privacy, and then the administrators would be up front. So in this scheme, when you come in the front door, you have administrators, police, and fire on either side of that main entry, where there's likely to be people. On the others, and then so everything's there. On the second scheme, the admin are all living upstairs. So if we kept the dorm rooms in the back, there would be no one up front, no meters and greeters, and it would extend further deeper into the side. Whereas it pulls it up front and creates a facade along the main road coming in that you can actually do something with architecturally, potentially. So otherwise it would be just corridors and things like that. And it was always a challenge in this particular scheme to get windows, where we wanted them to be. It sort of,
what we see here
sort of showed what happened in the front.
Toward Route 10, is that, I can't see what those are. Are those the overnight quarters facing Route 10? Is that what that is on the small?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Where are the bunks, the overnights in that?
These bunk rooms are the bedrooms.
Right there, yeah, okay. That's what I was wondering. Yeah, I was just thinking too, in terms of, privacy coming in from the front door, but these are on the first floor though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, and then on the second floor, if you could just switch to what the second floor looked like.
Sure.
So the second floor is obviously a smaller footprint with what's left to go up on the second floor. But then in terms of having, I guess, I'm not sure what I'm trying to ask, but is there a trade-off in terms of cost, in terms of efficiencies, by having just a smaller footprint on the second floor, but yet having all that open roof space? How do you see that roof space? Is that a beneficial thing for us somehow? How do you see that? Is that something that could be used somehow differently? Or?
Oh, sure. Sure. I mean, definitely. In either scheme, we probably have close to the same amount of roof space. It's just whether it's on one level
or two levels.
Right, or two levels. But sure, definitely roof space would be a good space for some mechanical equipment. We're required in Massachusetts now with the energy code to design roofs so that they're at least solar ready. Whether or not you decide to put any solar panels in them, we have to design it so that it can carry the weight of the solar panels. We have to plan out any rooftop equipment so that it's not in the way of where solar panels would be. And we have to provide some electrical infrastructure for future PV connections. So that's all up for grabs for the roof. We've also put in green roofs, which help with thermal efficiency, adding that planting medium and some plants, even if it's just sedum up there, really helps with the thermal efficiency of the roof, and also provides protection for the roof membrane itself so that roofing products can potentially last longer because of that protection. They're not subject to damage from the environment quite so quickly. And it provides a nice view for people, like if there were windows along here looking out potentially at a green roof could be nice. So I think there are
there's one other thing we've been putting on of some of our fire stations that are deep, like this one, roof monitors that run along the long length, but it doesn't matter really to get the north-south lights in control, and that provides a lot of nice interior light for the departments. So for the fire department, and we've been doing that, and that's really quite nice. The fire department, we just built one, and they really just love it. When you're in the space, they're deep in the hillside. We tunnel into a hill to build their building, but they really appreciate that added light, and that makes you put light above, or you have to put light on the side, so you don't have to have a lot of light on all the time, just for general walking around. So we do that in a lot of our big buildings, whether the big volume space, sort of things with trucks. So we do that quite a bit. So there's a lot of possibilities for the roofs, what they are, and how they offer more value to the project itself. PV and green roofs certainly.
The apparatus bays are essentially 2 stories, correct, in height?
It's about 20 feet to the structure, the underside of the structure. That's what we typically design them to.
So on the single story, that section of the building would be significantly higher than the rest of the roof line. And then how much, on the 2-story building, would the second floor be higher than the apparatus bay?
Well, let me think about that for a second. So we do about a 14 or 14.8 floor to floor, depending on the materials and what we're trying to do. And because we have a big training room, that demands higher space.
And fitness.
Yeah, and fitness. So then, and then we have our second floor, and then we have some structure. So we may be at, 26 to 28 feet to the roof line. And then the ceiling, the roof on the other building is going to be similar to that, actually, because you have 20-foot height, and then you have a couple feet of structure in the roof line. So depending on heights of parapets, if there's a pitch roof, whatever we're doing, we don't recommend pitch roofs necessarily on apparatus bays. Are massive, and they really don't provide you usable space. So they could start to even out a bit, the second story, but there is a bit of a flat roof between them. And, we can do screening, we can do different heights that, bridge those 2 pieces.
So visually, on a single-story building, there'll be a greater elevation change.
There will be a greater elevation change, absolutely.
thank you.
But that's, that's an architectural problem, not a use problem.
No, correct, I
Yeah,
understand.
so it's like, you're building a bit more foundations and a bit more roof, but you're not building the stairs, and elevators, there's no maintenance involved, there's none of that involved. So, it's, I can't say what, I know 1 square footage is less, and that's going to be a decider, a factor. But
Is one of these options clearly or definitively less costly or more cost efficient than the other?
well, one of them has a couple of thousand square feet less. What is that number again? Has, let's see, 3,500 square feet less, and no elevator and no stairs. So I'm going to say the single-story building is going to be less costly. I think, Amy, you wouldn't disagree with that, no?
No, I would completely agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you had mentioned in the past that added roof costs and so forth would add to a single-story building. So, all right.
Yeah,
so
it's a little bit, but when you cut 3,000 square feet out,
Yeah.
that's a lot. I
Okay,
know.
well, that's certainly a consideration for
And
us.
there's no elevator in the single-story building, is this
No.
correct?
That's right.
There's no
Correct.
elevator.
Yeah.
I think the question about maintaining an elevator has come up before as well. As a
Oh,
cost.
yeah, absolutely. And stairs, you don't have to do it. I think, though, if you go back to the first floor plan, Amy, there may be ways of, this is just the first, of a plan. You would, if you go this route and you get into real schematic design, you're really going to look at these plans more. Is there ways of tightening anything up? Is there ways of, shifting things to break up volumes? There's all kind of things like that. If you notice this plan, the front wall along, the entry side is flat. Straight across, there's a little bit of setback at the tower to break those two pieces up. If you look at the second plan, Amy, if you go to the second one, I should
Keep me on my toes, move in between it.
Yeah, so you can see we pulled it back and we played with it a little bit, and the building lines up in the back. So there's things you can do. We didn't. We don't have the time, or we don't have the budget, or whatever, to do scheme after scheme. But there's ways of breaking up forms to improve the architecture or change the way people see spaces from one space to another. So there's a lot of architecture to happen here. Just pointing out some of the differences. We purposely chose to set the apparatus back. We could have pulled it forward, but it allowed us to get better light into the dormitory rooms, get some separation between the pieces. So there's a lot of, like I said, architecture to happen here. But those were, and they fit the plans differently. Of course, it created more, more of a front zone. And a little bit of buffer to push the building back into the site a little bit. So, again, many iterations to come should you choose one or the 2 stories. But the pieces are all here. The program pieces are all here. It's missing some doors, but that always happens. You move a space and you push the door, and then all of a sudden the door disappears, and voila, you have to find it again. But this has all the vestibules. It has all the connections. It has all the airlocks.
Would the construction of this be stone and concrete block?
Well, I think that's up for discussion. We oftentimes see masonry buildings, and even if it's exterior masonry cladding, it could be a metal stud backup certainly in administrative and living spaces. In the apparatus bays, ideally it would have a CMU backup for durability, but the detention as well. Yeah. There have been times when, due to budget constraints, we've had to look at alternatives to that, certainly, but ideally for durability, a CMU backup in those spaces works best. But I think that's something to talk about. The next steps in our schedule are, if you can decide on one of these schemes, the plan was to pick one of these schemes, and then we would further develop the plans for the next meeting and then move into developing elevations. So I think it's worth having a little bit of a conversation about, what, if you have any ideas about elevations at this time, things that you like, things that you don't like, so that when we present to you the next time, we can have that in mind. But that is the next step moving forward in the design at this point.
I just have one other question. On the first floor, the one-story one, I think I understood you said you've gone from around 27,000 feet down to 24,000 square feet.
25,084, 25084.
Because that includes the mezzanine part, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that includes the mezzanine.
Okay, so we've somehow gone a good between 2,000 and 3,000 feet less. Is there anything that got more, and this is based on the reduced footage that the chiefs had presented, or this is in addition to that?
Well, we started at 29, then we went to 27,900, and now we're down at this either 25
So I guess
or
the question is,
28.
did anything get sacrificed in this new reduction?
Nothing. Oh, you mean from the original program?
Or from the revised program, Janet?
From the last time we talked about it.
No, there's nothing got sacrificed in the one story. I think, there's a lot of little spaces here, and we kind of, when we put it together, we kind of had our checklist, and we went forward. They do include some, gross square foot numbers, and that was a good way of checking, some spaces a little bit. I think we talked about programming. Programming is a target. It's not an actual. So when you actually lay out a room, like say the conference room, I have no idea what the square footage was in the police station upper right-hand corner. Well, it filled in the corner space there, and you still have to make it accessible. So that wall could have shifted a foot or two and made it bigger or smaller, depending on layout. But the rooms were kind of laid out so that they would be the appropriate. For some reason, a space could get a little bigger or smaller, and that's really per layout. And again, those are things which we continue to look at the next phase and say, did I get this right? Does this make sense? The departments haven't seen these plans, so it's us relying on our years of experience doing police and fire stations to get the general relationships right. But if you go back, Amy, if you could scroll up into the zone that has the detention, for instance, we're pretty comfortable with the notion of the anteroom and the booking, holding the booking, and the site and sound cells and the detention shower. But then outside of that, there's the process labs and the tech lab and the armory and all those spaces. We've never really talked to you about how you use those spaces. We know the evidence prep will work. That's how we do it, and we know they're valuable assets. So we know that generally these spaces really work. But is that the way you'd want to work? I've got the lunchroom. We had a future training officer. We had him inboard at one point, and I said, "Gee, let's get him on the outside wall because it's another office space, and you'll want windows in the future." So we kind of did all that, and we'd have to have the police and fire department like 5 minutes to at least say, you're way off base here. This isn't at all how we want to operate, or you did it pretty well, but can you move certain things around? So that would be in the next step things. But I think generally, in the color coding, just so you know, if you have your sheets, what's green was on the shared spaces, and although I did notice a green space is colored purple. What is the purplish blue is police, and what is the rosy color is the fire department. So we could have missed things. We could have added a few. We might need a little bit more mechanical space than we show, but we'll have to figure that out as we go. So it seems like there's a lot of toilets, but there's not. If you think about it, there's some public toilets, and then there's toilets for the administration of the police, and there's toilets for the administration of the fire department. And then there are toilets and showers that are more firefighter and staff firemen driven, so they're back in the day. And those toilet showers are all about decontamination. So, you don't really want to use those. You could use those, but you really want to use them off the apparatus base. So there's some things like that's all in the programming. It's not added. It's just, just as you begin to look at it a little bit, you'll see all that and say, well, can we get rid of this, or we can say sure, and we can back it up with a conversation with you. But we do have to provide male and female toilet rooms. Like you'd have to go for variance if you wanted to get rid of things, right, Amy? There's no exceptions as far as you know.
Yeah.
So there's. Which is good, it is good. Your firefighters will actually have male and female shower rooms, and same for the police. And you did not program anything extraordinary. You didn't ask for the sun and the moon and the stars here. It's a pretty basic program. I can say that.
I think it would be good for us if you could send this out to us so that especially the chiefs could really analyze what you're proposing, and then we could
absolutely. Yeah, and I'll hopefully I'll be able to get somebody to put the doors on that they're missing. I'll mark them up so you can actually see. I know there were doors in some of these spaces, and I know that a wall got moved and the door probably went away. It's a
3D modeling can be a little bit fussy at times.
It's a computer program, and it's very fussy. It could be hidden for all we know behind a wall. So it's something we'll have to. I'll mark it.
We'll get there. It's the first pass.
It's the first pass, but they're pretty much all there. We weren't going to put any doors on, and then I said, let's try to throw in a lot of doors.
So these are options 3 and 4, and I know you previously presented 1 and 2.
Right.
Are those also to be considered by the committee here?
No, because option 1 is only on the one site, only on the purple. And option 2 was on the purple, green, and orange. So that's why that one doesn't work anymore. So neither, you could certainly do the purple option on 1.
Well, option 1 may be a fallback, because if town meeting says no to purchasing the green parcel, you may be back to option 1.
Yeah, and then you have to deal with the whole notion of how the road gets built and how the utilities get in, and but yeah, we did try again, as Amy said, we did try to put the building up on the green parcel, but there's just no way with the setbacks that you can get a building that works that makes any sense from a planning point of view. So from an operations point of view, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems. You might be able to park up there potentially, have more parking up there on that green. But for right now, we just said we had so much space to put the parking that was programmed. We had enough space, and we got the parking closer to the entries, and we thought that was more important. So we made some choices for good reason, I think. So.
Well, the intention of the purchase of that commercial parcel is for highway access and visibility. It wasn't really meant for building.
Yeah.
We understood that.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Any more questions?
I have a question on option 3, the single story on the site drawing. I know maybe a little bit early, but it doesn't seem to be much room for stormwater and or septic and reserve for septic on the one story.
So the next step will be, again, once we pick one of these schemes, to pass it off to the civil engineers for them to look at all of that and weigh in on all of that. But they were not, when we showed them, the previous schemes, even the scheme, even the scheme just on the donated parcel, they weren't concerned about getting it all to work and getting the septic and the stormwater and all to work on that. So I I think it's fairly big, and again, we purposely tried to do the plan slightly different from how do you park, to see if we could tighten it up, the parking, things like that. So, I think you always have to have an open mind until the civil engineers get done. This is what we'd like to do. This is where we'd like to put the parking. This is where we want to put the carports, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, okay, but if I had this amount of space and I can manipulate, it better or whatever, we can work with them on that.
What do you think?
Overall impressions, what you expected, you didn't like a one story, you like the two story, you think the parking's in the wrong spot. Any thoughts like that immediately?
Have perks been done there yet?
No.
At all?
What was that?
Have there been any perk tests done there?
Don't believe so.
Oops. Any perk? We have not done any perk tests on it. I don't. Oh no, that's not part of our scope here. Yeah, I don't know if the developer has done anything.
Okay.
Do you know?
But when we looked at the overall site, it looked positive. It didn't look a negative or anything like that. So no red flags during the initial review.
I don't have any personal knowledge.
It's a flat site, which is lovely. Beyond lovely, considering the sites I'm working on now.
Do you have thoughts? Could you do perk tests a lot?
Well, it seemed like that'd be a good thing to investigate. Sooner than later, maybe.
Yes. Yes, there's a lot of preliminary work that needs to take place before we can commit to this.
So maybe we want to look at the schedule and talk about next steps a little bit then here. So this is, I had sent a schedule out last fall when we talked about putting the project on hold, and we talked about what we would need to do to get you a cost estimate by, I think April 1st was the deadline to get it to the Finance Committee, and delaying the project until the beginning of this year, what we would need to do to sort of compress it and get everything to fit in. This is almost identical to what I sent back in November. I did make one change to the dates, I believe, and it's actually the next meeting. We'd like to change if that works with all of you. So the gray is all the work that was completed last year, and then we stopped work and held until we made the decision after the first of the year to go with this site, and then we started developing these conceptual plans. So right now we're at this point, this meeting to present the two conceptual plans on one site. And so the goal is to then pick one of those options so that we can then develop that and move forward. So we would ideally meet again on February 12th, and at that point in time, that's this line right here, we would present one of these options developed a little bit further, so a little bit more developed plan. The civil engineers would have a crack at site plan, and then we would develop some elevations so that you could take a look at what it might look like on the outside. So we would give you two elevation options. At that meeting, we'd also like to bring in our mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, GGD, so that they can talk to you a little bit about system options and what they typically see for public safety buildings, and also talk to you about sustainability and green design options. And the goal of that is to talk about what would be potentially a preferred system for doing the cost estimate. They would put together a narrative with a menu of options, basically, and then the cost estimator could price different things out. They could price out what a geothermal system might cost, or a PV array might cost, and different mechanical systems options. But they need to talk to you a little bit about that before they can put that narrative together. At that meeting, we would hopefully again pick one of the elevation options to further advance. We would leave the meeting, GGD would work on developing their narrative, and at the same time, given what they then know about what you're interested in for systems, they can start to give a rough estimate about what the annual operations costs would be in terms of energy costs for the building. And we would develop the plans and the elevations further, and then come back to you on February 26th to present the updated drawings and those operation cost summary. And at that point, we would be looking to get sign-off so that we could send all of those documents over to the cost estimator so that they could work on their cost estimate. Cost estimates take some time. It's a lot of work to do a cost estimate for a building like this, so we have talked to the cost estimator about his availability and timeline. Typically, we give him between 2 and 3 weeks to do his work. He comes back with a draft estimate, which we look at, all the engineers look at, and we get comments to him, and then he does revisions, and then it would be that revised estimate that we would present to you at the end of March. We have March 25th as the date, so that would be, again, in order to get you a cost estimate number before you need it for the Finance Committee and for town meeting. And then things that we have not identified as dates and we need to talk about are these community meetings. We talked about presenting the process and the project to the community at some point, but we haven't identified any dates in stone, so that's something else we need to talk to you about. So that's the plan. It's a lot of work to do in a short period of time to get you that number for town meeting. So we wanted to put this out there and make sure that those dates are going to work for you. We're going to be able to keep on schedule to get all of this done. I think the next plan would be that February 12th meeting, which is a Monday, and that might be a little bit of a longer meeting because we'd be trying to present both design as well as systems with the MEP engineer, and they'll have quite a bit to talk about at that point in time.
And does the 12th work for members? Can we say 4 o'clock? Mm-hmm. All right, so 4 o'clock on the 12th.
Okay.
Just so you know, the Greenway, Friends of the Greenway are meeting at 6 o'clock that day.
We move them downstairs? We have to?
Just saying that there's another meeting that's scheduled that, so.
Here in this room, is that why you're pointing that out?
Yeah, so
okay.
I think it is.
We can swap rooms around maybe.
Yeah.
They can maybe go downstairs. They can maybe be in the break room. There's other places they could meet if we let them know ahead of time.
Okay.
We should go ahead and decide if we can do the 26th of February and the 25th of March too, because of the need to organize the cost estimators, etc. I think we should go ahead and schedule them.
I can, because it's far enough out for me.
Yeah.
So February 26th and March
25th.
Oh, March 25th.
The third bullet down of the larger bullets is 325. You see that? And that's when we'd have the results of the cost estimates. See on the left?
Yes. So if we were to, we have another meeting scheduled at the end of January. If let's see, so perhaps we can discuss the public meetings at that, and on February 12th have a suggestion.
Okay.
For when the first one of those might take place.
Yep. Okay. So I think the trick for us is going to be getting direction to move on to the next stage. It sounds like, to picking either going with the one-story scheme or the two-story scheme and moving forward. we've got, I'm looking at my calendar here as I talk, so 1, 2, 3 weeks until the February 12th. And there's quite a bit of work to be done for that meeting. So I don't know if you have any meetings planned in the near future, if you want to discuss it, pick something tonight, or if we give you a couple of days. It looks like, are either of the chiefs there? I can't see everyone.
Both, no.
Okay.
So we cannot offer you anything tonight. We need to be able to look at the plans further. Chief Illingsworth came in late, so he hasn't had much of a chance at all to look at either plan. We have a meeting scheduled for January 29th, but you need to have some kind of determination prior to that.
Next week, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll never be able to get the work done.
What do you think, committee?
So we have a meeting next week.
Can we meet early?
Yeah, just
next
meet early.
Tuesday?
Next Tuesday or Monday?
That was Tuesday?
Tuesday is the select board.
Is the joint meeting?
Yeah, the joint.
23rd, correct.
23rd.
Yeah, so we meet at 5 or 5:30 before the select board meeting.
Yeah, we have to.
We
We
should.
gotta do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Possibility on Tuesday?
Instead of the 29th?
No, both. So the 23rd is the joint meeting with the select board to discuss Zero College Highway, the entire parcel. So does that work for you? We have a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, the 23rd. If we meet a bit early, and then we could get back to you, and that would allow all of us to have a closer look at what you've proposed today.
Yeah, I think that would work if we could get direction right after that, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
So I've posted that January 23rd meeting already. I'll change the start time from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock, because I think we can't do it in less than an hour. All right.
We gotta get going on some other stuff too, this engagement, this task 7, so I don't know, 4:30? Are we squeezing everything in too tight, Christine?
4:30 is fine with me.
Can people
It's okay with me.
stand that length of meeting?
What day, what time again?
Tuesday the 23rd.
Tuesday, the
I'm
23rd.
proposing we do 4:30, we give ourselves a little teeny break between the two meetings, and we not squeeze too
Okay, well,
tight.
that won't concern Janet and Amy,
Right.
so we'll decide that. But we will meet and discuss which plan we are going to proceed with on the 23rd. So we'll get to you
Okay.
once that decision has been made.
Okay.
And so all you really need to know from us is which of these two plans we prefer, right?
Exactly, yeah, if you just let us know option 3 or option 4, 1-story or 2-story, then we can take it to the next level with our team and with the engineering team as well.
So we decide Tuesday, and one of the chairs just notifies them.
Say that again, Joe?
We decide Tuesday, and one of your
Yes, so
chairs
that's
just-
exactly right. Either Chief Illingsworth or I will notify you after that meeting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm putting a note in my calendar, and if I don't hear from somebody, we'll call.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I was just putting all these meetings that you're, kind of agreeing to in my calendar at the same time, and I know that's what I just added. Hear from town. Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, does any committee member have any further questions for Janet and Amy tonight?
No.
No,
All set?
we're all set. So I think we're all set with you for this evening, unless you have anything else you would like to add before we part ways.
I don't think so.
No, I think that's all. If you have any questions, early next week about plan things, send us an email or a text or call or something, and we'll, if you're confused about something, we can help out. If you see something we missed big time, I hope we didn't, but, feel free to call contact us, help out the best we can.
Yes, thank you very much. And we appreciate what you've put together for tonight. And we'll study both plans and be back to you. So that's terrific. Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see you all again and to be back working on the project. Ed, I thought you were supposed to be retired, Ed.
I was supposed to be. They pulled me back in.
Till the end of February, we haven't, but.
Oh, okay. I was surprised to see him. Nice to see him.
Just a small extension. All right, well, many thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone. Okay. Good night. Bye-bye.
All right.
So I propose the 23rd, we meet at 4:30. We talked about brochures, we talked about tours of the station, we talked about all kinds of things.
That's true, maybe, but it's 20 till 6 now. It would be nice to end the meeting at 6. We do have 20 minutes to accomplish a few.
Yeah, I'm gonna have.
A few of you do.
We've got select board, so.
Correct. Yes, we know that you have. Catch your breath
They get
before.
screwed up.
Are you okay with an earlier meeting?
Yeah, we can. Long days, no, the usual, a meeting after another.
And technically, you're already posted. You would just change your starting time, and you'll have to change your agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then just back on Barry's question on the perk tests, I mean, I think when Ed and I met with the Labries, they were willing to have perk tests done on the property, but I don't think there was any definitive point about who would do them or pay for them.
No, they were willing to let us have permission to go on the property and do whatever we wanted, so.
Right.
Yeah. We would just have to find a way to probably pay for that and schedule that.
Yeah.
I think we also need to think about having an appraisal done.
That's already in the back. I'm already going to make that phone call and schedule that.
We've got to do that for the other property, so that's, the appraisal's the next step along.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great, okay, because as far as an offer or what we can pay for the commercial parcel, that will be determined by the appraisal.
Not really. We're not using CPA funds, so we're not dictated by
That's true, there's some level of differentiation because it's,
But obviously, if it came in at 200,000 on the appraisal, then we're going to get asked at the town meeting, why are we paying 550? So.
Yeah, right.
May I point something out? If we're going to do a perk test out there, try to get who's ever doing it to do the site where the system's actually going to go, because right now we're wide open. We don't know if it's a 2-story building, a 1-story building, or where the footprint's going to be. But I don't want to spend money and time doing something and then find out it's in the base floor and we can't use it anyway.
The other part of that is our decision on which building we like may be dictated to us by the perk results, because perk result will dictate how much real estate we're going to need for the leach field and the reserve area.
That is absolutely correct.
So if it's a slow perk, we may need every inch of real estate we can get there.
Well, but, so that poses the question, the problem of getting them information by the 23rd. We've run into all kinds of snags like this, not proceeding in a sequential way to make firm determinations. There has been some preliminary soil work done there, is that correct?
Was there something that came with planning board? Was there nothing that came into planning board?
No,
nothing
for soil snow. It was a preliminary plan, it was not definitive.
So all we've got are the notes from the PAR engineer, HKT's engineer, right? When they went to the site and looked at the topography and walked the property, and we'd have to pull out that report. That might tell us something in terms of the quality of soils. I mean, we've heard that they're, good perkable soils, but we don't know the details about it.
That's right, we don't know the rate, and as Barry just said, the rates will determine the size of the.
Right.
I did one down the hill several years ago that was pretty sandy, but that was a long time ago, and there's no guarantees.
Right. Well, this is purportedly sandy, but we don't know. That is absolutely
But I
correct.
guess a starting point would just be refer back to the PAR report. That would be my only thought on that. Because they would have described, I think, some of the soils in
I
that.
think they did just the USDA soil interpretations and off the site, they did not test pits.
No, there were no test pits
No, there
whatsoever.
weren't any test pits, for sure, but I thought they had more in their narrative about the soil, maybe not.
Well, we'll have to check on that.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, thank you. Barry, is there any information that you could gather by walking it, as far as being the knowledgeable eye that you are, or having the knowledgeable eye that you do?
We'd need to dig holes to really see.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, all right, here we are again in a place where we've got a situation that Barry has just described, and we're being asked to make a decision before we have the results of that.
How long will it take to get a perk test? I mean, I know Barry does them, but
We've got to have the money.
identify-
I don't know, our financial people just left.
How much do they cost?
Again, we could do just some exploratories, all we need is a backhoe.
That's
and
true.
Soil evaluator, you don't have to do an official perk test at this point in time, you can do some exploratories, a couple of 10-foot test holes, and just to get a feel for the topography.
When you
You
say
could see the water table.
When you say we, who's we? Like, do we have to hire somebody to that, or we could? Are you talking a committee?
No, the committee doesn't have a backhoe. Do you have a backhoe?
No, but the town does.
Oh, now, can it be as informal as that?
What do you think, Charlie?
Because I'm the approving authority on the other end of this, I really don't want to say too much.
Yeah, you better not. Don't compromise yourself.
What's the next step then? To identify somebody to do these preliminaries, like a company?
Mark, you're a soil evaluator.
Yeah, I think I've got my license lapsed, but not a soil evaluation. But I don't know if it's
Well, there we go.
appropriate for somebody on the committee to do the soil evaluation, or preliminary soil evaluation.
We have to check and see if that's a conflict of interest.
That's right. If it weren't a conflict and I didn't accept any money for it, would that be a bad thing?
It still could be a conflict because it could be taken away from other people.
Impartiality.
Right.
Does it have to go out to bid, like, because it's a municipal job, or?
I think it would be under that ceiling, I
It would be
believe.
under-
Yeah, you just need to hire a soil evaluator, and if we can use a town backhoe.
Yeah.
So who
And we
is,
can put some, I think we're able to put some X's on the plans about where to put some exploratory estimates, not official perk tests.
And with that amount of information, will it be possible to roughly estimate the size of leach field that is necessary? So then the question is, can that take place within a week's time? We've just committed to giving them information in 9 days' time.
We need to track down somebody to do it. I mean, I
And
know.
who besides you and...
Well, there's others out there.
No, I know, but can you make that? Can we ask Barry as a committee? Can we designate Barry as the one to contact someone to get this going, or designate Mark to move forward on this?
And this would be unwitnessed by the town, or would it be witnessed?
what do you mean witness? Like one of you guys
Official.
standing there making sure you
Would it
know
be
if they're doing it right?
If you're in Title V, you're supposed to, do it specifically according to, detailed logs and submit your
Right.
log to DEP unless it is an unofficial exploratory pit.
Right, that's the question. Is this going to be on record and official, or is it just for our own?
I I think we need it on record and official. Honestly, it's a waste of time and anybody's money at all if we find out later we didn't do it officially.
I think ultimately it would be done officially. It's more of an exploratory, so we can say, let's go with skiing.
Increasing our level of comfort, where
Yes.
nothing's ever gonna be black and white, tied down tight, because we don't know what the building footprint is, we don't know what the stormwater system design is, no one does at this point.
Right.
So they can adjust the building footprint to accommodate the
Right.
septic system. If they need more space, they can move the parking lots around. I think they got enough space to do that. I think just doing an exploratory thing. The official one will have to be done when the plans picked and
Yeah, because before they can install a septic system, it has to be in an official approved perk test location.
Right.
We don't know where that location is yet.
I think, like Charlie said, the starting point would be on the left boundary where that green space is.
Yeah, on the south side.
Yeah.
Barry, was your impression that that single-story proposal allowed for sufficient space for a leach field?
Well, that gets us into another question within Title V, what the loading rate would be based upon. And I think that might be the square footage of the building or the number of people working there or some
So
combination
that's
of them.
significant.
And that's, I do residential, so.
Yeah, I've done several before, and it's usually pretty low. It's the use, it's
Yeah.
not the square footage.
Okay.
So I've done 3-4 of them, septic systems for them. And it is on the use, not square footage, so I anticipate the use to be fairly small.
That's a good thing. Yeah, okay.
And so Mark and Barry, from what you saw, Janet and Amy said that their engineers didn't raise any red flags about that, the size of the open space for...
My only concern was on the single story. There was a little less open green area.
Right.
You need-
Well, quite a bit less.
Yeah, you can't put the stormwater underneath the driveways, but that's a little scary. with fully
You mean the
loaded-
septic under the driveway?
No, I'm talking about drain, because you need a separate area for stormwater. You need an area for stormwater, you need an area for septic, for leach field, and you need an area for reserve, unless you do between trenches.
Right. Might be an option there. But what about the stormwater as far as consumption of space? Is
Well, that's,
a multiple of these paved area or something?
it's a function of the paved area, yes. And impervious area, roof area as well as pavement area.
Right, and so that's significantly greater with the single-story building,
Right.
the impervious area.
That's why I asked the question is, stormwater and septic for the single story is a little more challenging, not that it's unsurmountable, but we don't know where that answer is yet. And that's part of the design process. We're not going to be able to get to that on day one.
No, but can we get enough information to guide them on by the 23rd to set them on the course of option 3 or 4?
I can't say for sure, but it was primarily be a confirmation of the USDA soil analysis, and if we can have someone dig some 10-foot test pits and say this is consistent from what we see, be consistent with what we see in the USDA, which is, I'm sure, what PAR is basing their original assumptions on.
Right.
So the question, I don't rephrase the question, but can we get a backhoe out there with either a soil evaluator or soil scientist, either one, and just to read the soils? And then get back to them and say, yeah, this looks consistent with what USDA is, or something totally different.
Charlie?
Why don't you ask Mickey Spocus to volunteer?
I can't hear you, sorry.
Why don't you ask Mickey Spocus to volunteer?
I don't know Mickey all that well.
She teaches the soil classes.
Do we want to do the volunteer request route or just pay a soil evaluator?
The committee doesn't have any money, so the committee would have to allocate money through the select board to do that.
How much does it
Wait a
cost?
minute, I thought that wasn't true, Charlie. I thought we do have the money. Chief, what do you think about that? Because we're the ones who are paying HKT, so I think,
You had a little cushion through ARPA, correct?
we'll have to check with Ed on that, but I do think the budget is ours. I think the ARPA and state funds are ours.
Yeah.
Probably be in the neighborhood, it'd be under $1,000 probably for somebody to do the soil
Well,
evaluation.
if that's the case, great. I mean, I can link up with Mickey. Mickey teaches the soil classes for the Commonwealth. And, and then I'll link her to you. But if you're gonna have one of the chief soil scientists coming out to do this, then you're not gonna have anybody coming around saying, well, they didn't know what they were doing.
Mickey would know.
Mickey and I spar all the time.
So, as a committee, do we need to authorize Charlie to go to Mickey?
If you need a motion.
Well, I don't know. We need to, I want to do things,
Well, you see, part of my problem is I'm the approving authority.
yeah, so you have a conflict.
So obviously I know all the players because I help teach classes.
But you can't be the one to reach out to her.
That's,
So why doesn't
I can give you the linkage and you can call her.
one of our chairs reach out to a name that's apparently somebody that's qualified to do this, and
Well, Barry would be more articulate as exactly what he's looking for.
sure.
I have no offense to Ian, but if he starts calling up the soil
Yeah, all right.
scientists and starts asking about.
And Barry or Mark, who know what they're doing.
I think they should be given some authority for an alternative plan if they can't do it in this time frame. Then, to reach out to somebody
Somebody else.
else.
I agree. Yeah,
Because
totally.
otherwise, we're not gonna have a meeting in between then and now.
Good. Among the three of you know the players, you know who's out there, who's good and who's reputable.
So,
I want to go backwards a little bit here, we just automatically rejecting this site because we don't have a perk test yet. I mean,
I wouldn't. I
I'm trying to look at the bigger picture here. Is it that crucial that we have a perk test or a soil evaluation prior to picking one or two-story building?
I thought we do, in order to decide where the building goes.
it's negotiable, I mean,
Would the safer option to go with the smaller footprint?
But it's probably more expensive.
Yeah,
it would, yes to both, I would say, yeah.
my personal view is to go to the one-story building. If we're gonna approve anything, that's my lean right now. I haven't seen all the material, but that's my lean.
What was the square footage
Around
assessment?
2,500 square feet less,
What
significant.
was the per square foot cost they originally
It
did?
was 900 per square
So
foot.
that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, and that's something that we're gonna wanna make sure that we articulate to the town, that we are trying to be as cost-effective as possible.
I have a question for both chiefs, actually. How many people, staff do you picture there per day?
Well, right now, it's 3. In the future, I would say maybe 4 or 5.
And we're planning this for 20 years out, Barry.
Okay,
Right.
4 to 5, let's say 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's,
We're talking about a 24-hour period, so 16.
that's over 24 hours, though at any one time it's
Yeah.
fewer.
One time, yes, most is
Say within an 8-hour shift.
five at the most.
And does that include the administrator or the receptionist
It
there?
includes, yes, mine did.
So we're talking 10 people per day,
Well, per shift.
per shift, per shift,
Yeah.
right?
Thank you.
But that's during the 8-hour period during the day, and then the evenings is gonna
You
be
figure 110 gallons.
two per shift.
Less, yeah, okay.
We figured 110 gallon per day, 500 gallon.
That wouldn't be
less than
much.
1,000 gallons,
That wouldn't be much, and if it's a nice sand, it should be okay.
less than 1,000 gallons. And we don't put a tight tank in, but that doesn't take up such space. So.
That's true, the tight tank
But it's
has
not
to.
huge in area. And that
Yeah.
can go anywhere.
So I guess, based on what you just said, Mark, I feel confused. Are you suggesting that maybe we don't need to proceed in this way
I
to
think
make
it's
a...
level of comfort that we have, you know, each piece of information gives a higher level of comfort. You know, I mean, typically you want to do a perk test before you purchase a piece of property. We're not purchasing it in the next 3 days, but we are telling our architect to proceed with expending the town's money in design.
They didn't seem to see that as an issue. You'd think they would have thought, after talking to their engineers, that there would be a red flag that they mentioned that to us.
Right.
She specifically said
You know, saying,
that-
well,
This is
it's
a
gonna be
crucial
tough.
issue.
Yeah.
You better get this done before we proceed.
All the federal soil maps show this is sandy soil out there. And everybody's assuming that. I've done work all the way around it, and it's all sand. So,
Do you think if we got a town backhoe up there and we looked at it, that would be enough of a comfort level?
I'm comfortable with that. I mean, we get, you know, the highway department to come out and operate the backhoe. I don't know if there's an issue with a committee member making that call and read.
Isn't it though just for the committee's comfort level? Why wouldn't it be committee members volunteering to assure the other committee members? It's completely,
We're just doing subsurface site visits.
Yeah, exactly, right.
it's completely informal.
It's not an official perk.
Yeah.
We can do that at the first opportunity.
Anybody see any objections or any cautions against having to?
It's just for observation, the official.
No, it is.
That's comfort, that's comfort, you know, what do we want?
Yeah, there is, you're talking about time frame, getting a couple, next couple of days, we have to do dig safes before we do anything, and there's a 72-hour wait on time. So
That's
we have to
true.
Call dig safe, set up dig safe, put stakes out in the field, know where they are in the field, and then arrange with the town DPW backhoe out there.
Yeah,
I'm willing to look in the hole.
snow covers you shouldn't have much frost there.
No, I don't worry about that, I don't think of the question.
You know, you have to also see the town, you know, Randall's has the
And we have to
resources to do it.
And we have to get permission from the Liberties to go onto the property.
We have nothing official, we have verbals, but, as far as a written authorization to trespass and dig holes on our property.
Right.
So there's a process. Dig safe, coordinate with
With the town
the
and call?
town, and make sure we have legal authority to enter and destroy portions of the property. And then also make sure there's some survey markers out there so we can know where we're poking holes.
You're going to
Exactly.
reach out to the Labries for permission? Why don't you ask them if they'll bring it back home?
There are no survey marks out there yet. That hasn't been surveyed.
Pardon?
I don't think there are any survey marks out there.
No, I mean, it's sometimes confusing, you're standing in the middle of the field, you think.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, how do you even know where, no survey markers, how do you even know where to even do the test?
If there's none at all, that's a problem. If there's anything at all anywhere and you try to measure it, that's somewhat trustworthy, but not sure I'd want to totally hang my hat on that.
Just doing a comfort dig. So if you're doing a comfort dig and you're off by 30 feet, what difference does it make?
We're confirming a gross assumption, basically.
Yeah. And if you're going to go there, call the owners.
Or 300-foot
Ask them
tape
to
and
bring a
work
machine
like
over.
that.
I happen to know they own machines.
I don't know them, so I don't.
So
Is there a motion on the floor?
Well,
How pertinent, I know that this is for comfort, but is this based on, I'll defer to how important is this exploratory view? How important is this to this?
Well, I think ultimately the official has to be done by the architect, and when we get into final design.
Yeah, but that's down the road.
It's down the road, so,
I think it's pretty important, frankly.
Well, the series should have been important on any parcel we were considering to do some exploratory.
It's a lot of commitment and a lot of money and time invested. I don't know, I feel it'd be prudent.
So then we should do it then.
Like you said, we'll save a lot of money if we go with the bigger footprint, but doing this will make us feel better about using the bigger footprint.
All right, so I guess we gotta try to coordinate how this is gonna happen.
Okay, so typically Ed has been the one to contact the Labries. Chief, you meet with him every day, is that correct?
Not every day, no, but I meet with them frequently.
Gonna meet with him tomorrow?
I can meet with them tomorrow.
Would you pass this by him and ask if he would reach out to the Labries and get official permission, giving us the week to put a backhoe onto the land to do some preliminary test pits? Is that in agreement? And then we need to reach out to, we are relying on volunteers. Are we comfortable relying on volunteers?
I'm comfortable with observing and not filling out an official protest.
Of course.
Me too. If you be there too.
So no one else, what we need to secure is a backhoe and permission. No, okay, dig safe is
Before you
permission.
dig a hole, you have to notify dig safe, and they have to come out and mark for any underground utilities.
And there's a 72-hour window for that.
But you have to go out and put stakes in the ground before you give them a call.
Would that also be Ed's purview to call dig safe? And is there a fee for that?
No, there's no fee for dig safe.
Whoever does the digging is supposed to do that.
I think, one of the things we want to consider is, I believe the territory that Ed's getting into now is, he has a lot of going on.
Right.
And we have to do this in a very short time frame. So I wonder if we should delegate somebody else to reach out to the Labries and dig safe and so forth, just because if the 72-hour window, I can't get to this today. Now we're crunched for time.
All right.
We want to make sure that this happens on Monday or tomorrow, these phone calls.
All right, so Chief, do you have time to contact the Labries?
Yes.
Okay. Being chair.
I'll need a contact number, but yes.
I wouldn't have it.
I'll reach out to the Labries. Can somebody else reach out, though, to dig safe? Because I don't want to speak outside my comfort zone. It's outside my wheelhouse. That part of it is outside my wheelhouse.
It's also out of...
It wouldn't be on you to do that.
Okay.
If they provide the machine, they would need to do it. If they can't or won't, I guess Randall
Randall would have to do it.
Randall wouldn't. Okay. I personally don't feel comfortable asking the Labries to bring a machine there.
Right.
Just, that seems like a big ask.
Yeah, it does to me too. Are you comfortable, asking Randall?
Randall, for sure. I'm comfortable asking Randall, and again, we're short on time here. If we have a storm on Friday, he might say,
forget.
Who knows?
That's true too.
Yeah.
So he's, we've got a short time frame here.
Yes, we do.
But if we ask Randall to do this, and Randall says, yes, I don't want to put even more commitment on him to reach out to dig safe and so forth, is that, because we're gonna have to go out there and stake it, right?
Somebody has to stake it.
And it's only gonna have to be, it can only be a certain amount of people because we can't have a, right, because we can't have a meeting.
Okay, meeting, yeah.
Well, it'd be cleaner if the Labries did that, I suppose, because they're doing the digging and they're technically responsible for the dig safe call, and they know the land as far as where I assume they know the land as far as where we want to be doing this.
They don't have this, they don't have the, I think it would require, I don't disagree with you, but again, I don't feel comfortable asking them to use their machinery.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable.
I get that, yeah.
If they were to offer it up, I'd say sure, but
Well, I was only asking the chief because he's a chair.
Right.
So are you willing to reach, I mean, could we designate Barry or Mark to reach out and pursue this with the LaBreeze?
I don't know them real well. I mean, are you feeling like you couldn't do it because of your status?
I'm going to be reviewing and being the enforcement outside of the town, so I can't really get neck deep. Of course, I know everybody, Barry, but
I can reach out to the LaBreeze.
Can you do it together, jointly?
Yeah, maybe if you break the ice with them, maybe, and then I could get more specific.
Okay.
Just pull them.
All right.
Tell them that Barry Searle wants to talk to you.
All right. Barry, before we leave, let me get your contact information.
Yeah, sure.
You said you know LaBreeze, you have contact information. Can I get there so I can call them?
I can give you a phone number that you can...
And then perhaps, I know the protocol is to have the LaBreeze, if it's there for whoever's digging, to do the contact dig safe. But that's just another ask. We're asking people to do stuff for this committee, and I think
that might be.
Is there something, is it improper for us to, or something, like for yourself, maybe to reach out to dig safe and ask for it?
Maybe.
Dig safe is a notification, you do it online, but you have to be the responsible party, the one who's saying, I'm going to be digging a hole somewhere.
Okay, all right, that's what it is.
It's a 5-minute process.
Okay.
You got to send them a map of where you're going to be digging and have a promise to put a white stake in the field where it's at, so when they will send utility companies out there to mark the area and say it's okay to dig.
I could provide the stakes, but I sure don't know where to put them.
Yes.
And that's where the problem lies with the LaBreeze not knowing where to put them. So it's going to be based on an estimation on their schematic, right?
I think we take, I'd say we, the committee, or Barry and I, sit down and take those Ski 4, Ski 5.
Take this and...
Ski 4, Ski 5, and put 1 or 2 X's out there and say, this is where we want to dig some test pits. And they come on the south borderline, basically. It's where there's going to be 2 test pits on the south borderline.
And that's fairly obvious, right? That borderline.
Well, no, there's no line in the field. There's a black line on a piece of paper.
No, that's true, and it goes behind.
You probably have to go from the nearest intersection and just measure it.
Yeah.
Somewhere around
Yeah.
here?
Yes.
Does LaBreeze own these properties? We don't want to dig a hole in somebody else's property.
No, I think this is a right-of-way here, so, this is somewhere in this area. There's a tree line there, which, helps you.
Yeah. And we have to avoid trees.
No, it just help orient where we are in the field.
Yeah.
You have some gas where you stick those 2 things. If you look at both the single-story and 2-story, the only real green area is in this location here. And actually with the, scheme 3, the middle of the parking lot would probably be a location for either storm drain or, the island.
Chris, I gotta leave.
Yeah, I think.
So, I guess time is ticking away here.
Yeah, it is.
So maybe if the committee could give me authorization to reach out to LaBreeze. Subsequent to that conversation, I can reach out to Barry. And then Barry and Mark can coordinate and communicate with me as well, because it's three, that's not going to meet a quorum.
Okay.
Right? So we can coordinate and have something, but we also have to have the autonomy to, if this cannot happen, if we still want this to happen, to reach out to a private vendor to do it.
That you'll have to check with Ed on.
Right.
Though, as far as.
If we can find the funding, give us the authority to reach out to a private.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
There's a 72-hour window for us if we make a call tomorrow.
That's great.
Do the weekends come?
I don't remember. I don't think, no, I think it has to be 3 business days.
Right. It doesn't count the weekend. So if they call tomorrow, we couldn't do it until Wednesday next week.
Which is too late for our purposes.
Right, the 23rd is Tuesday.
We're supposed to let
So
them know.
even if we had a backhoe, we still leave.
Right, you're not gonna hit your 72, so.
You do not leave all without doing digging safe. Big no.
Yeah.
So this is,
Unlikely we can pull this together.
It's a rock and a hard place for
This is our meeting.
This is every meeting.
As far as I move to adjourn.
Well, we have a plan. I think we authorize you to at least go forward as far as you can to discuss about the backhoe, and then if we have to go to the meeting on Tuesday without the clarification, we say it's pending. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any choice here, really.
Yeah, I think we need to go post haste on trying to get us soil information. If we get it before the meeting, or next, the 23rd, or what it was. And maybe we'll, HK, only is HKT is gonna lose a day or two. That's it. It's not that they lose 6 months. And we can pass on the information, but we have to tell them as a committee whether to go with.
We have to meet to vote on the site.
Well, we're scheduled on the 29th.
Yeah, but they need more time. They were very clear.
They're already stuck.
Yeah.
They're already delayed them a month.
Right.
All right, so I think we need a motion. Can I have a motion to authorize the chief to speak with Ed? And, no, to contact the Liberties. And then...
request permission.
Yeah, request permission for access to the property. And the chief will make the connection between Barry and the Liberties. And then we also authorize Mark to be a part of a coordinated team. So the chief, Barry, and Mark to pursue this preliminary soil evaluation.
Soil exploration.
Exploration.
That's a better word.
Yeah, soil exploration.
And the last part of the motion should be, and if this doesn't come together, to then go to another vendor, right?
Or go to a vendor.
So I'm just a little unclear. Are we asking Labreeze to provide the machine also? Or that's my job after you break the ice?
Yeah, that's your job.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big ask.
All right.
I'm just saying,
Would you think that would be more advisable than asking Randall to do that digging?
I can reach out to Randall this evening and see if, provided he has the time to go out there with the machine,
All right,
I think a
well,
lot of it depends on the weather.
yeah,
It
right.
does even plow and snow.
Let's do that.
Okay, so there's a motion, which I'll make, or you're making it.
No, I don't think a chair can make a
All right,
motion.
well, all right, I'll move that chief will contact the Labreeze, get permission to access the property, request if we could use their backhoe.
No,
If
he's not gonna do
secondary-
that.
You're not gonna do that? Okay, sorry. No use of backhoe. And that once they give the permission, that you'll coordinate with Barry and Mark to pursue preliminary soil exploration, and also to make contact with Randall to use the backhoe. Okay.
Dig safe is in there too.
And contact, and the team, you three, the 3-person team will contact DigSafe. Is that right? Is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
I abstain.
Okay, one abstention.
Okay, unanimous with one extension.
Yes, unanimous.
I move to adjourn.
Charlie has moved to adjourn. May I have a second?
Cindy, second?
I second.
All right, all in favor? Thank you, committee.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.